Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to lecture number 24 of the course Introduction to Computer and Programming. In today's lecture, first of all, I will show you an example program. We will dry run the program in which we will use dynamic memory allocation, that is a malloc function. We will allocate memory dynamically using malloc function in that program. Then I will give you the introduction of structures in C. That is a new topic for today, and initializing the structure variable, declaring a structure, and how the memory is allocated for structure variable, and an array of structures. Let's overview our previous lecture. In the previous lecture, first I have shown you an exercise program in which we write the definition of a function count character. Then we come to the two-dimensional array of characters, array of pointer to string, garbage value, dynamic memory allocation, and free function. In today's lecture, we will first see a program, malloc function for integer array. We will use a malloc function, the same program which I have shown you in the last lecture. We will dry run that program. We will not execute that program using dev-c, we just dry run that program in the slide. And then introduction to structures, declaring a structure, accessing structure elements, how structure elements are stored, and array of structures. Malloc function for an integer array. This is a program which I have shown you in the last lecture, that this program first prompts the user to input the number of subjects. So user input number of subjects, and then the program will input the marks of those subjects. For example, if the user input 4 जो सब्जेक्ट्स हमने एंटर करने थे, एंटर नंबर ऑफ सब्जेक्ट्स में अगर यूज़र ने इनपुट 4 दी है, देन द प्रोग्राम विल आस्क or prompt the user to input marks of 4 subjects. So it will display the message enter marks of subject 1, you enter the marks, then it display the message enter marks for subject 2, you enter that marks, and then enter marks for subject 3 and enter marks for subject 4. So if you specify in the subject number of subjects are 100, then ये loop 100 times चलेगा जो आप first for loop देख रहे हैं, right? And second for loop भी 100 times चलेगा जो उस marks को display कर देगा. So this program is very simple, that you input the number of subjects from the user, and then the program input the marks of those subjects and it display those marks. So we can use a static array here as well. Static array are those array which we have studied until now, that is you write int marks and in the square brackets let's say 100. So the size of array is 100, right? And if the user input that and number of subject is 4, then you just occupy the 4 elements of that array and the rest of is the waste of memory. So to avoid this waste of memory, use dynamic memory allocation, that is you allocate memory at runtime. Why we need to allocate memory at runtime? Because at compile time, while watching this code, you don't know that how much memory you will be required, because the value of n will be input by the user, that is at the runtime. So if user can input 3, 5, 8, 7, whatever value he wants to input, he can input over here, and then the memory, accordingly the memory will be allocated. For example, अगर n में user ने value insert की थी 3, then memory जो allocate होगी, that is for the 3 integer value, and that memory should be 3 into 4, 12 byte. Now let's execute this program step by step. So first this statement will be executed. It will allocate the memory for 3 variables. One is the pointer and second 2 are the simple variables, and the type of these 3 variables is int, right? And then we have a printf statement. So it display the message enter number of subjects. In scanf statement, you input, the input is let's say 3. So you want to enter the marks of 3 subjects, and this 3 will be stored at end n address. So end n is the address of the memory that is associated with the variable n. So ये 3 यहाँ पर store हो जाएगा. You can see here. And then the next statement is the memory allocation, dynamic memory allocation. Now how much memory will be allocated? So malloc function में हमारे पास आ रहा है n into 4, that is 3 multiplied by 4, that is 12. So malloc function will allocate 12 byte of memory and it will return the address of that memory location, and the type of that address or type of that pointer is void, because malloc function don't know that which type of value you are going to store on that memory location. अब इस 12 byte में you can store 12 characters, you can store 3 floating point values, you can also store 3 integer values, right? So it's up to you. So you know that which type of value will be stored in that memory location. So आप उसी type में इस pointer को convert कर लेते हैं. So this is, आप इस pointer को convert कर रहे हैं. malloc function जो आपको address return कर रहा है उसकी type void static है. You are converting that address in int static and you are assigning it to the pointer p whose type is integer. So when this statement will be executed, so this 4 elements each contains 4 byte of memory. This space will be allocated. So this is this space is for the first element, first integer, and that is composed of 4 byte of memory, second 4 byte and third 4 byte. So memory for 3 integers will be allocated in the memory, right? And then the address, this function return the address, and that address will be stored in p. So the address will be stored in p. Now p pointer points to this memory location, right? I hope this malloc is now clear. So malloc is a function is for the dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic means that during the execution of the program it allocates the memory, it requests the operating system to allocate the memory. So internally वो operating system ने request करता है और operating system memory allocate करके दे देता है उसे. Allocate करके देने का मतलब ये है कि it returns some address, और वो address we store that address in a pointer. So this means that this pointer points to that allocated memory जो कि run time पे allocate हुई है. And then we have a for loop. For loop में I की value हमारे पास 0 है. So I की value 0 से initialize हो गया. I is 0 and 0 is less than 3. Condition is true. This is the next statement executed. So we get a message, enter marks of subject %d. %d की जगह value क्या आएगी? I plus 1. So I is 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So the value 1 will be displayed over here. Enter marks of subject 1, that will be returned. And then in the scanf function you have to take input. So scanf function means you have to tell 2 things. First is the type of the input and second is the memory address where you want to store that input. So first thing is very well known to you, that is %d. The type of the input is integer, but this is the memory address. So memory address is p plus I. So you are adding I, value of I is 0, so you are adding 0 in p. So p is 6550. When you add 0 in it, it is still 6550, and you are passing, you are providing this address to scanf function that store value at this address, and this address is the address of this element. So यहाँ पर ये value store हो जाएगी. So आपने value input की 73, that will be stored in this position. Then the next statement is the increment of I. So value of I will be incremented, it becomes 1, and then the condition 1 less than 3, condition is true. Again printf statement will be executed, and in this execution it displays the message, enter marks of subject I plus 1. I is 1, 1 plus 1 2. So the message displayed is enter marks of subject 2. Let's say user input the marks in scanf function, and these marks are 85. Now 85 will be stored in p plus I address. So p is 6550 and I is 1. So you are adding 1 in the address. That is a value of a pointer. So what does that mean? It has to point to the next value of the type. जो pointer की type है उसी type की next value को point करेगा, and that is 4 byte from the current position. So the 4 byte from the current position, the address will become 6554. So अब यहाँ पर आप इस पॉइंटर की वैल्यू चेंज नहीं कर रहे. यू आर नॉट सेइंग p is equal to p plus I. You are saying p plus 1. You are just adding p in I in p, and you are providing this address to scanf function that store this type of value that you have input from the user in this memory location. So what is this memory location? This is 65501 plus 1. So 65501 plus 1 means 6554. Why 6554? Why we have a jump of 4? Because the type of the pointer is integer. Whenever you perform addition in the integer pointer, it points to the next value of the same type. So next value, अगर आप 1 का इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे तो वो next value को point करेगा, अगर 2 का इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे तो next to next value को point करेगा. So next value जो है वो 4 byte away है, because the type of the pointer is integer, so it points to the integer value, and the next integer value is the 4 byte away from the current position. So that's why the address here will be 6554. So इस address पे ये लिख देगा. So 85 will be written at this memory location. So next is it increments the value of 2I, it becomes 2, and 2 less than 3 condition is true, so it display the message enter marks of subject person D. Person D is 2 plus 1, that is 3, so enter marks of subject 3, that will be displayed on the screen, and then you input some marks in the scanf function, that is 78. These 78 will be stored in memory position 6550 plus 2. So plus 2 is you have to add 8. That is, you have to point to the second element. Now this 78 will be stored in 6558 address, 6558 address. So 78 यहाँ पर store हो जाएगा, and then the value of I becomes 3. So condition of the loop 3 less than or equal to 3, that is false. Sorry, the condition of the loop is 3 less than 3. 3 less than or equal to, not, it's not or equal to, it's just less than sign over here. So 3 less than 3 condition become false, so it comes outside the loop, and the next statement is the other for loop. So इस for loop के बाद अगर ये condition false जाती है, the next statement is this one. So now the value of I becomes 0 again. Now it starts printing the value. It executes the printf statement. Now the message that will be displayed is marks I plus 1, 0 plus 1, marks 1 is equal to 73, that is static P plus I. Now the value at address P plus I. P plus I is P plus 0, P is 6550, plus 0 is 6550, and you have a static with it, so value at address 6550, and that value is 73. Let me repeat it. Static P plus I is 73. Why? Because it is static 655 plus 0, and 655 plus 0 is 655, and you have a static with it, so you can read it out, value at address 6550. That value is 73, that will be printed. Now it comes to the increment part of the loop. It increment the value of I, value of I will become 1. कंडीशन चेक होगी, कंडीशन चेक होने के बाद दोबारा printf स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट होगी. नाउ इट प्रिंट्स marks 2 is equal to 85. Now this is 2, 1 plus 1, 2 will be printed over here, and here the value of static P plus I, static 6550 plus 1, that will be printed. So that value is 6554. So static 6554 means value at address 6554, that is 85. And then again the value of I will be incremented. It checks the condition 2 less than 3, the condition is true. Again it executes the printf statement. Now the statement becomes marks 2 plus 1, 3, so marks 3 is equal to 78, that will be printed. So here static P is 6550 plus 2, so when you add 2 in the address, it will actually add 8. Why? Because the second, the value, the next to next value. So ये जो P वैल्यू जिस वैल्यू को पॉइंट कर रहा है उसके बाद जो सेकंड वैल्यू है, that will be P plus 2, right? So 6550 plus 2 is 6558. ठीक है, इसमें 8 ऐड कर देंगे, that will be this value, and that value will be printed over here. So static 6558 is value at address 6558, that is 78, so that value will be printed over here. Now the condition in the for loop become false, and then it comes to the free function. So free means it will deallocate the memory that will be allocated. कौन सी मेमोरी जिसका आप एड्रेस यहाँ पर प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं? P means 6550, that is you are providing the address of the memory. सो ये जो एड्रेस है इस एड्रेस पे जाएगा और इस एड्रेस से मेमोरी को डी एलोकेट कर देगा. सो दिस कनेक्शन विल बी लॉस्ट एंड दिस मेमोरी विल बी डी एलोकेटेड. Now system pause message display कर देगा, press any key to continue. So that is the output of the program. Now this is a kind of a dynamic memory allocation, and you can say a dynamic arrays that you create an array at runtime during the execution of the program, right? And at the before the execution, that is at compile time, you don't know how much memory will be allocated, right? I hope now malloc function is more clear to you. Now let's come to the structures. So variable that we have already know can store single value of one type, of a single type. For example, if we have integer variable that is only able to store integer values, and if we have a floating point variables that is only able to floating point value, and if we have a character variables that is only used to store character values. But if we have and array can store multiple values but of similar type, that is the limitation of array. Multiple values it can store, that is the advantage, but the limitation is all the values, all the type of all the values will be same. That is, if we have an integer array, so it's a collection of integers only. If we have a floating point array, it's a collection of floating point values. Structure can store multiple values of similar or dissimilar type. So structure के पास you can store multiple values that may be of dissimilar type. One value is integer, one value is character, and one value is float, let's say. So structure are a collection of variables related in nature but not necessarily in data type. So जरूरी नहीं कि data type same हो. For example, if you want to store the record of the book, so book record is composed of book name, price, and pages, let's say. So these three things whose type is different but they are related to a book. Book से related book का नाम हो सकता है, उसकी price हो सकती है, and उसके pages हो सकते हैं, number of pages हो सकते हैं, right? So इसको आप array में represent नहीं कर सकते. You cannot represent these three different types in array, simple array, right? You have to use structure for this. A structure consists of a name of a book, price of a book, and pages of a book. So in structure is a group of dissimilar or similar type of data, right? Why we use structure? Suppose we want to store data about a book, and you might want to store books name, that is a string, price, a floating point value, and number of pages, that is an integer, right? Now if the data about say 3 such books is to be stored, then we can follow 2 approaches. The first approach is construct 3 arrays, one for storing name, second for storing price, and third for storing number of pages. So 3 arrays use कर रहे हैं हम. 3 books का record store करना है. 3 arrays क्यों यूज कर रहे हैं? Because we जो उस record के field हैं, that is we have to store name, price, and number of pages of that book. So 3 तरह का record store करना है. और कितनी बुक्स का करना है? 3 तरह का करना है. अगर 5 बुक्स का भी रिकॉर्ड स्टोर करें तब भी हमारे पास 3 अरेज ही बनेगी. 1 for the names, 2nd for the price, and 3rd for the number of pages. And the second approach is use of structure variables. We will see what is a structure variable, how we can declare the structure variable, and how we initialize the structure variable. Now 3 separate array approaches is, this is array name. Let's say we assume that a name of a book just composed of 1 character only for simplicity purpose. So the size of the array is 3. 0th इंडेक्स पे आप फर्स्ट बुक का रिकॉर्ड स्टोर करेंगे, 1th इंडेक्स पे सेकंड बुक का नेम, और 2nd इंडेक्स पे थर्ड बुक का नेम. इसी तरह से you have a price, array for price, and array for pages. Now at the 0th index you will store the record for book number 1. At the 2nd index, at the 1th index of these 3 arrays, so name के 1th index पे सेकंड बुक का नाम होगा, प्राइस के 1th इंडेक्स पे सेकंड बुक की प्राइस होगी, और पेजेस के फर्स्ट इंडेक्स पे 1th इंडेक्स पे सेकंड बुक के नंबर ऑफ पेजेस होंगे. इसी तरह से थर्ड बुक का रिकॉर्ड नेम अरे के सेकंड इंडेक्स पे थर्ड बुक का नेम होगा, एक अल्फाबेट लेट से. इसी तरह से प्राइसेस के सेकंड इंडेक्स पे थर्ड बुक की प्राइस होगी, और पेजेस अरे के सेकंड इंडेक्स पे थर्ड बुक के नंबर ऑफ पेजेस होंगे. We can store like this as well, but here you can see that a single record is stored at 3 multiple places. एक बुक का नाम कहीं और स्टोर है, number of pages is stored somewhere else, and number of price and price is stored somewhere else. So single record is stored in separate places for the same book, so that will be very difficult to handle when the data is very big, large in number or in small number. We will see an example. Structure variables क्या है हमारे पास? We have a structure variable S1 that contains name, price and pages. So S1 के पास एक ही बुक के S1 represents a single a record for a single book, एक बुक के रिकॉर्ड को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है, उसी बुक का नाम यहाँ पर आएगा, उसी बुक की प्राइस यहाँ पर आएगी, पेजेस यहाँ पर आएंगे. Now ये 3 जगहों पे डिफरेंट जगहों पे नहीं. इसी तरह से we have a variable S2 and for 3 books we need 3 variables, 3 such structure variables. This is the name, this is price and this is number of pages. So हर बुक का S1 represents record for book 1, S2 represents record for book 2 and S3 represents record for book 3. So S3 contains the whole record for the book number 3. It contains the name, it contains the price of book 3, it contains the number of pages of book 3. But in this approach, a single record is separated. 3 जगहों पे सेपरेट है एक सिंगल रिकॉर्ड. सिंगल रिकॉर्ड का मतलब है कि एक बुक का रिकॉर्ड किया है, उस बुक का नाम, उस बुक की प्राइस एंड उस बुक के नंबर ऑफ पेजेस. सो दैट रिकॉर्ड इज स्कैटर्ड in 3 separate array approach, while that is combined in structure variable approach, right? Okay, before going into the detail, let's see what is the fflush function. Then after this slide I will show you a program using 3 array approaches and using structure variables. But before that, let's see what is the fflush function. This is the prototype of the function. Fflush, stdin, you are flushing some stream. In fflush you flush some stream. So at the moment we need to flush standard input stream. So standard input stream, that is stdin, is the default source of data for application. It is usually directed to input device of the standard console like keyboard. So आप कीबोर्ड से जो भी एंटर कर रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल एक प्रोग्राम बनाए जिसमें आप एक कोई इंटीजर वैल्यू इनपुट ले रहे हैं, then that integer value will be written in the buffer first, that is called stdin. So आपने लिखा उसकी वैल्यू 1 4, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने उस इंटीजर वैल्यू इनपुट करनी थी 1 4 3 4. So you write 1 4 3 4. These all things are written in stdin buffer, and when they are written in the memory that is allocated for the variable in the scanf function, that whose address you mention in the scanf function, when it will be written on that memory location when the input is complete. So when the input is complete, when you enter the press key, then the input is complete. So you write 1 2 3 4. They are all written in the stdin buffer first, and when you press the enter key, then that will be stored on the memory that you have mentioned in the scanf function. So just let's go to the program. Let me first comment out this thing. So enter an integer. Here you are going to input integer, and that will be stored in address and a. And a is the address of the memory that is associated with variable a. But before this value is written in the memory, for example, the value you input is 1 3. So does it write directly on the memory? That memory, no. It will write when the input is complete. So उससे पहले ये कहाँ पर लिखेगा मेमोरी में? मेमोरी में एक बफर हमारे पास है. एक बफर is a special place, is a place for the input, and उस बफर का नाम है stdin, standard input stream. So it will write all the input there until that input is completed, and when that input is completed, it will be completed when you press enter key. So for example, when I run this program, so it displays me the message enter an integer value. So I write the integer value 1 3 4 1 1 3 4 2. I haven't said until now that my input is completed. I didn't press space bar, neither I press enter button. So this means that it is still waiting, that it is quite possible that the input is not completed. So the scanf function haven't write all this value in this memory and a. ठीक है, वो एंड ए मेमोरी में सब कुछ अभी नहीं लिखेगा. कब लिखेगा? जब मैं एंटर की प्रेस करूंगा. So I press the enter key, that is my input is completed now. Now floating point value 13.5, then I press the enter key. मैंने enter की press की, इसने लिखा है enter a character. You see the third printf and scanf is enter a character value, scanf character value, but it didn't ask me to input a character. It just displayed the message, press any key to continue. Why it is so? This is because the previous /n will be there. ठीक है, so जो previous value मैंने enter की थी, that is this floating point value. ये floating point value मैंने enter की थी 13.5, so I write 13.5. It will be written in stdin. When I press the enter key, so enter key will be placed in stdin, and all these value 13.5 will be written in this memory location, and b में लिख दिया 13.5, but the enter character is already there. वो वहीं पर ही मौजूद है. कहाँ पर? stdin बफर में. and next character जब उसने रीड करना था तो उसने character रीड करना था और वो character enter ही था. so input complete होगी. it assumes कि input complete हो चुकी है, कि आपने enter की ही प्रेस की है, जो enter के character वहाँ पे पड़ा हुआ stdin में, और it assign that enter character to this variable and store it in this memory location, and then it display the message, press any key to continue. Right? So let's see that whether in C the new line character is stored or not. To check this, let's write like this: hello %C. So what character will be stored in C? Let's check it out. C. So the value of this character will be printed over here. Let's see if it is a new line character, then world will be printed in a new line. Now let's compile and run this program. Integer 1 2 3 4 2. Okay, so it didn't prompt me enter a character. Why? Because when I write this value 134.567 and press enter key, it write all the thing in the stdin buffer, and then I press enter key, it write the enter new line character or the character generated by the enter key, that will be placed. कहाँ पर प्लेस हो जाएगा? वो यहाँ पर प्लेस हो जाएगा stdin में. इसका मतलब है कि इनपुट कंप्लीट होगी. नाउ इट राइट दिस वैल्यू फ्रॉम द stdin बफर 134.567 in this memory location, and b पे लिख दी उसने, but the enter key is still there in the stdin buffer. ठीक है, so next जो value input लेनी थी, that is a character. So character is already there and it is /n. That means the input is completed. So it assigned that new line character to a variable C. ठीक है, उसको assign कर दिया. अब जब मैंने character print किया hello और world के दरमियान, now you see the hello is printed in a separate line and the world is printed in the third line. That this means that the character C contains a new line character. So the question is why it didn't ask to enter the floating point value. So यहाँ पर enter क्यों नहीं उसने input ले ली? This is because the enter key that is already there after writing this value, integer value 1 2 3 4 2, जब ये आपने लिखा तो stdin में लिखा जा रहा था. When you press the enter key, so this value will be copied at the memory location and A, and the enter key is already there. So the next value it has to read from the stdin buffer is of float type. वो float type की value है, and the value there is a character type. So it will wait until it get the floating point value. जब floating point value मिल जाएगी उससे, तब वो floating point value read कर लेगा और /new line character वहीं पर ही रहेगा stdin buffer में. It write this value from the stdin to the memory location for the floating point variable, and then the /n will be there. Next input is a character. अगर आप तमाम के तमाम इंटीजर इनपुट ले रहे हैं तो कोई मसला नहीं आएगा, तमाम के तमाम फ्लोट इनपुट ले रहे हैं तब भी कोई मसला नहीं आएगा. बट अगर आप कैरेक्टर इनपुट लेंगे, अगर शुरू में कैरेक्टर इनपुट ले लें तब कोई मसला नहीं आएगा. बट व्हेन यू इनपुट अ कैरेक्टर इन बिटवीन द फ्लोट और इंटीजर्स, और व्हेन यू इनपुट मल्टीपल कैरेक्टर्स, देन यू विल फेस दिस इशू. आपको इशू नजर आएगा. ठीक है, और ये इशू क्या है कि /n जो इनपुट कंप्लीट करने के लिए आप एंटर की प्रेस करते हैं, सो व्हेनेवर यू राइट द इनपुट दैट विल बी रिटन इन द stdin बफर, and how you tell that input is complete, you have to press the enter key. When you press the enter key, the value of the input that is in stdin that will be written in the memory that is associated for that variable, but the new line character is still there. So if the next input that you want to read is an integer or float, then there is no problem. But if the next input that you want to read in from the user, if that is a character, then in the stdin there is already character that is new line character, so it will assign that character to that character variable. So to avoid this situation, you have to flush. You have to use flush. That is, you have to flush stdin. So fflush will flush all the things that are present in stdin. Right? जो भी input buffer में है, जो भी standard input stream में जो भी चीज़ मौजूद है, उसको वो flush कर देगा. That is, for example, now I comment this out. Now if I run the program and execute it, integer value is, let's say this is a floating point value. Now it's prompting for the character, because here character input लेने से पहले मैंने उसको stdin buffer को flush कर दिया है. Now I can input a character E. So now it write hello E world. Now here in place of %C it write the value of E. Now that is the purpose of fflush. That is, it flushes out all the content of that buffer you have to specify over here. So अभी हम stdin specify कर रहे हैं. So stdin buffer क्या होता है, you know it. This is the buffer जो कि जब भी आप input लेते हैं तो the input will be written over here, and when that input is completed, it will be written to the memory that is associated for the variable or the memory that you have mentioned in the scanf function or the getters function. ठीक है. और ये प्रॉब्लम कब आता है, जब जो आप मल्टीपल कैरेक्टर्स इनपुट लेंगे, या जब आप कुछ इंटीजर्स या फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट इनपुट लेने के बाद, या कुछ इंटीजर इनपुट लेने के बाद आप कैरेक्टर इनपुट लेंगे, देन यू हैव दिस प्रॉब्लम. एंड व्हेनेवर it didn't ask you for the input, you can use a flush function. ठीक है. That is all about a flush function. Now let's consider the two approaches. Let's refresh it. In the previous slide, so we have three separate array approach, in which we have three separate array, and then we have a structure variable approach where we declare three structure variables to store record for 3 books. Now this approach is a 3 separate array approach. We have array name, price and pages. So 0th 1 2 0 1 2 0 1 2 ये 3 इंडेक्सेस होंगे इन तीनों अरे में. 0th इंडेक्स, इन तीनों अरे के 0th इंडेक्स पे एक बुक का रिकॉर्ड होगा. इन तीनों अरे के 1th इंडेक्स पे सेकंड बुक का रिकॉर्ड होगा. इन तीनों अरे के सेकंड इंडेक्स पे थर्ड बुक का रिकॉर्ड होगा. सो यू हैव अ printf statement, enter name, prices and number of pages of 3 books. Loop, use stdin, fflush stdin. fflush क्यों कर दिया, बिकॉज जब सेकंड टाइम लूप आइट्रेट होगा तो जब सेकंड टाइम scanf एग्जीक्यूट होगा तो ये कैरेक्टर के लिए ऐसा ना हो कि प्रॉम्प्ट ना करे. बट हेयर वी आर एज्यूमिंग कि बुक का नाम जो है दैट इज जस्ट अ सिंगल अल्फाबेट, राइट, अ सिंगल कैरेक्टर, एंड देन हेयर यू आर प्रिंटिंग द वैल्यूज. लेट्स गो टू द प्रोग्राम. जो पहला फॉर लूप है यहाँ पर आप इनपुट ले रहे हैं, सेकंड फॉर लूप में आप उन वैल्यू को डिस्प्ले कर रहे हैं. बट हियर द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट द one record is scattered in 3 different places, that is in name array, price array and page array. ठीक है. So this is the program. We have 3 different arrays. ठीक है. This is the input loop and this is the output loop, right? So let me compile it and execute this program. Enter name, so name is A, price is 100, pages is 150, name is, let's say, B, price is 200, pages is 250, name is C, price is 300, pages is 350. So display me all the thing. Okay, the price is a floating point value and it shows you after point 1 2 3 4 5 6 digits after the point. You can maximize this thing. You can minimize this thing. You can write 0 point, let's say 2 digit only. Should be 2 digit only. That's it. 2. So this is a you can see this in the format console IO chapter. ठीक है, उसमें आप देख सकते हैं ये इस चीज़ को डिटेल से. नाउ दिस फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट वैल्यू विल बी डिस्प्लेड. पॉइंट से जो लेफ्ट तरफ है वो जितने मर्जी डिस्प्ले हो जाए, पॉइंट से राइट तरफ सिर्फ और सिर्फ 2 डिस्प्ले होंगे. लेट्स कंपाइल दिस प्रोग्राम एंड एग्जीक्यूट इट अगेन. A 100.55 150, let's say B 200.66 250, and C 300.77 and 350. Seems like there's something is wrong. Maybe I will tell you next time. Okay, we shouldn't use this in scanf. Okay, scanf में use करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है 0.2. Just we have to use it during the printf function that is here. That's it. यहाँ पर लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है scanf में. That is wrong actually. So just write it over here. And the book name is A 100.55, that is price, and pages is, let's say 150. Book is B, pages is 200.66 and pages is price is 250. Book is C, price is 300.77 and number of pages is 350. Now you see, so इसने just point के बाद 2 digits को show किया है. If you write it here 0.1, it will show only 1 digit. If you write it 0.3, it will show you 3 digits only. Now let's see the same program using a structure variable. So this is the program. This is, you can see we are declaring 3 structure variables. Struct book के कौन से structure बना रहे हैं, variable बना रहे हैं, B1, B2, B3. So B1, B2, B3 are the 3 variables whose type is struct book, right? So this is B1, name, price and pages. So B1 contains name, price and pages. Similarly B2 and B3, and B2 and B3 also contains name, price and pages, right? So this is this looks a little bit simple because B1 is representing the record for book 1, B2 represents the record for book 2, and B3 structure, that is the name of the structure, represents the record for book 3. और उसमें आपके पास ये तीनों books के फिर आप record display भी कर रहे हैं. You do not need to use for loop. You can use for loop if you used array of structure, right? Let's see that program, and then after watching the execution of the program, we will go in the detail of this program in each and every step, right? But you know what is printf, what is scanf, and what is fflush std now, right? We will see this structure type detail. Okay, let me execute this program. Name is A, number of price is this one, and this is the number of pages. B 200.66, that is the price. This is the number of pages, and that is C 300.77 and 350. So this is the value you will get, but you can minimize this value. आप यहाँ पर इसको 0.2 भी लिख सकते हैं उसी तरह से जिस तरह से हमने पहले लिखा था printf में, just not in the scanf. You can just write this thing in the printf, right? Now let's see the individual element of the structure. First is the structure definition. You have to define your structure. And what is the definition in the program? This is a structure definition. You write the keyword struct and then the name of the structure. This is of your choice, but you have to write struct, opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket and semicolon. So the inside things are some basic data type. आपने name character का एक element बनाया, then you have a second element price whose type is float, and third element is pages whose type is int. So 3 elements बनाए हैं. The 3 are 3 different types, and the name of the structure is struct book, right? So struct is the keyword. Name, here the name is your choice. Of your choice you have to mention this name. Since this is the record for the book, structure for the book, सो हमने यहाँ पे बुक लिख दिया इसको. सो आप इसको कोई भी नाम दे सकते हैं यहाँ पर, एनी वैलिड वेरिएबल नेम, राइट. नाउ दिस इज अ डेफिनेशन ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चर. So memory will not be allocated when you write function, when you write structure definition. Sorry, this is not a function definition, this is a structure definition. ठीक है, जब भी आप structure definition लिखेंगे, the memory will not be allocated for that variable, because structure definition is the definition of the structure, that whenever you are going to declare the variable of the structure, this much memory will be allocated for a single variable. That will be told by the structure definition, and this is the definition of the structure. So memory will not be allocated when you write the structure definition. This is just to tell the C compiler that what are the elements of the variable of these structures. If you declare any variable here, this is just the definition. We are not declaring the variable of that structure. We are just telling the definition here. And this is just to tell C compiler that what are the elements of the variable of this structure. जब भी इस structure type का कोई भी variable declare करेंगे, then that variable is composed of character, one float and one integer. So this statement defines a new data type called struct book. आपके पास इस data type है int. So int की definition क्या मौजूद होगी C लाइब्रेरी में, but it doesn't mean कि वो 4 byte allocate कर देगा. 4 bytes कब allocate होंगे? When you write int space x semicolon, then it will allocate 4 byte of memory for a variable x. So similarly, when you write struct book b1, then it will allocate the memory. That is a declaration actually. So when you provide the definition of the structure, it won't allocate the memory, nothing will be done, it won't allocate the memory. It is just the definition, that is, if you write or if you make the variable of that structure, how much memory will be allocated. This is tell just about the memory allocation to the C compiler. Declaring structure variables. This is a statement, and after writing the definition of a structure, you can declare a variable. So ऐसे नहीं आप कर सकते कि आप definition बाद में लिखें और पहले declare कर दें. No, you cannot do so. Why? Because it's illogical. You have to first write what is struct book. That is, before this statement, you have to write struct book. What is a struct book? You have to provide the definition of struct book type. So here we are declaring 3 variables, b1, b2, b3, and type of these 3 variable is struct book. जिस तरह से हमारे पास है int space x, y, z semicolon. So we have 3 variable x, y, z, and the type of these 3 variable is int. Similarly, we have b1, b2, b3, and the type of these 3 variable is struct book. Now this statement declares 3 variables b1, b2, b3 of struct book type. Struct book type के variable है, integer float नहीं है, ये struct book type के variable. And what is a struct book? You have to provide the definition before the declaration. And in the previous slide we have seen what is a struct book. That is the definition of struct book. Now the memory will be allocated for these 3 variables, and these bytes are always in adjacent memory location. So जो memory allocate होगी ये एक साथ साथ होगी. For example, b1 को जो memory allocate होगी उसके तीनों members को, b1 के 3 members कौन कौन से हैं? Name, price and pages. इसी तरह से b2 के name, price and pages और b3 के name, price and pages. So b1 के जो memory allocate होगी इसके element को that will be adjacent. Name को memory allocate होगी, उसके बाद साथ ही price को memory allocate होगी और साथ ही pages को memory allocate हो जाएगी. ठीक है, that is b1. Similarly, b2 and b3, you can see now the record for the one book is at one place. With the previous approach, that is using 3 array approach, a single record of a book or a record of a single book is placed at 3 different locations, that is in the name array, in the price array and in the pages array. But here a single record is represented by a single variable, because a single variable is composed of character, name, float, price and integer, pages. Structure definition and declaration of structure variable can be combined. आप definition को और declaration को combine भी कर सकते हैं, but आप कंबाइन जब करेंगे तो कंबाइन करने में भी जब आप कंबाइन फॉर्म में लिखेंगे इस चीज़ को, देन यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड द डेफिनेशन बिफोर डिक्लेरेशन. सो दिस इज, you write the definition. Now this is structure definition with structure variable declaration, and these three are structure variables, and this is structure definition. So struct book, curly bracket, character name, float price, int pages, curly bracket close. This is structure definition, and with the definition you declare three variables b1, b2, b3. This is the variable डिक्लेरेशन. इसमें यह हरगिज़ मतलब नहीं है कि आप इस स्ट्रक्चर के 3 वेरिएबल ही डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं. यू कैन डिक्लेयर ओनली 1 वेरिएबल्स एंड यू कैन डिक्लेयर n नंबर ऑफ वेरिएबल्स फॉर दैट स्ट्रक्चर. आपके पास यहाँ पर स्ट्रक्चर डेफिनेशन में यू कैन हैव मोर देन 1 इंटीजर वेरिएबल्स, और यू कैन हैव 1 इंटीजर वेरिएबल्स, और यू कैन हैव नो इंटीजर वेरिएबल्स. सेम इज द केस विद द फ्लोट, सेम इज द केस विद द कैरेक्टर. You can have one character, you can have an array of characters, you can have array of integers, you can have just all the floating point values. So whatever combination you can form over here, you can make it. ठीक है, उसमें कोई limitation नहीं है, इसकी कोई पाबंदी नहीं है. ठीक है, and these three are the variables. This is the structure definition with declaration, and here we are providing declaration, variable declaration, and this is structure definition. This is a separate thing. You are providing the definition and then declaration is separate. If you write the declaration separate, you have to use struct book keyword. ठीक है, so struct जो keyword है वो उस structure name के साथ use करना है, book के साथ. So you have to write struct book and then structure variable, structure variable, structure variables. Now variable initialization. Structure variable can be initialized at declare time as well as from the input by the user. From the input by the user, we have seen that we can input the structure variable in scanf function. हम scanf function में input ले सकते हैं. We can write and b1 dot price. ठीक है, that is the address of the price element of structure variable b1. So I am repeating it. You can write in the scanf function and b1 dot price. So this is the address of the price element of the book struct book type variable b1. struct book type का जो variable है b1, उसमें जो price का element है उसका address है and b1 dot price. So you can, structure variable can be initialized at declare time as well as from the input by the user. We have seen the example from the input by the user that how we can initialize the structure variable from the input by the user. Now let's see the declare time पे आप कैसे initialize कर सकते हैं. For example, this is the structure. Now we have an array of character, that is the name. So that is a more natural, that a name of a book is not a single alphabet, it is more combination of alphabet. And then a price, and a second element is a price, that whose type is float. Third element is pages, whose type is integer. Now we declare a variable struct book b1 and we initialize the b1 elements. So this is the first one is the array of character, second one is the floating point value, and third one is the integer value. And so this is the initialization of a variable at declare time. Like you initialize an integer variable in declare time, like int x is equal to 10 semicolon. So you're declaring a variable and you're initializing it with the value of 10. So you are declaring a variable b1 and you are initializing b1 with these values, right? Now scope of structure. You can have a structure of local scope and global scope. So ये scope वही है जो कि variable का scope होता है. If I write the variable inside the main function, now that variable is only accessible in that function. हाँ, मैं उसको उसकी वैल्यू या उसका एड्रेस फंक्शन के थ्रू किसी और फंक्शन को पास कर सकता हूँ फंक्शन कॉल के थ्रू, बट हेयर आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द फंक्शन कॉल. जो सिंपल तरीके से एक्सेस करना हो अगर आपने, you cannot access that variable from any other function if you declare that variable inside the main function. अगर आपने main function के अंदर लिख दिया है तो आप किसी और फंक्शन में उसको एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते, and that is the local scope variable. global scope क्या है कि आपने किसी फंक्शन के अंदर लिखा उसे मेन फंक्शन से भी पहले लिख दिया है, then that variable is accessible in every function. So local scope, if the structure is defined inside any function, it will only be accessible within that function. अगर स्ट्रक्चर की डेफिनेशन आपने एक फंक्शन के अंदर लिख दी है तो सिर्फ उसी फंक्शन को उसी स्ट्रक्चर का पता है, बाकी किसी फंक्शन को स्ट्रक्चर का नहीं पता. And global scope, if the structure is defined outside function, it will be accessible to all the function in that program. अगर फंक्शन से बाहर लिखा है तो उस प्रोग्राम में जितने भी फंक्शन है उसको एक्सेसिबल होगा. दैट इज ग्लोबल स्कोप. लेट्स गो एंड सी द प्रोग्राम. नाउ you see in this program that we have write the definition of the structure outside the function. So function से बाहर है, we have a function abc, ठीक है, और function and main function के अंदर क्या कर रहे हैं, we are declaring a variable b1 and we are initializing it with some value and then we are displaying those values. That's it. Then we call a abc function so that that function also executed, and in that function we have also written declare a variable b और उसमें ये तमाम चीज़ों से इनिशियलाइज कर दिया है, और इनिशियलाइज करने के बाद आपने उन वैल्यूज़ को प्रिंट कर दिया है. सो हमारे पास जो प्रिंटेड फॉर्म आएगी, इफ़ वी रन दैट compile this program, it will compile it successfully because abc function also know what is struct book. How it know? Because you write the definition globally. So if you write this definition inside main, then you will be getting a problem over here. So we will see what is the problem. Now this program works perfectly fine. So it display chemistry 130, 550, physics 150, 800. So physics is in abc, so this is in abc, perfectly fine. So what if I move this definition from here to here? Now you see this definition is inside main function. So ये main function को ही visible है, बाकी किसी दूसरे function को visible नहीं है. If I compile the program, it give me the error. What is the error? So the error is variable b2 has initialized but incompatible type. So if I write like this, then let's see. Storage size of b2 is not known. How much memory will be allocated for b, that is not known because it doesn't know the definition of this function. ठीक है, इस function की definition कैसे नहीं पता. It gives me error over here, and this is an error because it don't know what is struct book. So storage size of b2 is not known. That is the error it is giving. It is mentioning that storage size of b2 is not known. Why it doesn't know the storage size of b2? What does that mean? It doesn't know, the compiler doesn't know how much memory will be allocated for b2 variable. Why? Because it doesn't know what is struct book. It doesn't know the definition of struct book. Why? Because you write the definition inside the main function. So now the struct book has a local scope that is within the main function, and if you write outside struct book, then it has a global scope. That is like this. Now it is a global scope, it can be accessible by every function. So usually structure definition is written outside any function so that all the function can, so that it will be visible for all the function and every function know what is struct book. Now accessing structure elements. In array, individual elements are accessed using subscript. A dot operator is used with structure variable, the structure variable name to access individual element of a structure. Structure variable का जो नाम है उसके साथ आप dot का operator use करते हैं to access the individual element of that structure. For example, if this is a structure, if we have a structure struct book, ये हम एग्जाम्पल में ऑलरेडी देख चुके हैं. और जो एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको स्ट्रक्चर दिखाई थी उसमें हमने स्ट्रक्चर को देखा डिफाइन करना, उसके वेरिएबल को डिक्लेयर करना, हाउ वी इनिशियलाइज द value of those variable of structure variable from the input by the user, and how we print the value of that structure variable. So then we declare a variable b1 whose type is struct book. That means the memory allocated for b1 contains this name 10 elements, price 4 byte, pages 4 byte. Okay, so we can assign the value like this: b1 dot price is equal to 100.75. So this is a floating point value. We can assign any floating point value to it. We can use dot operator to access each individual element of that structure. So a dot operator is used with structure variable name A dot operator is used with structure variable name to access individual element of structure. So B1 structure के कौन कौन से element है? Name है, price है, pages है. So B1 dot price, B1 dot pages. Now if you want to assign the value to name, since name is a string, you cannot write name is equal to and double quotes में कुछ value लिखते हैं. No, you have to like this. You have to copy it using string copy function. So copy the value at this memory location. Now this is the base address of name array, b1 dot name. So that is the base address of name array, right? You can also write over here and b1 dot name और square bracket में आप 1 लिखते हैं, ठीक है? And इसमें कौन सी string copy होगी? Let us see. That will be copy over here. So this is how you can access the structure elements. And the dot operator, this is there in the example of the structure which we have seen before. Now array of structures. This is a structure definition, and here we are declaring an array of structure. Now this is the array name is B, whose size is 5. That is, each element of that array is of type struct book. Array की type क्या है? Struct book. So each element of that array has type struct book, and the number of elements such element are 5 in that array. So the memory that will be allocated is 5 elements, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 indexes in that array. B1, so B square brackets में 0, that is this element. B square bracket 1, that is this element, and so on. And in each element, so in each index we have an element of type struct book, that is like this. So this is name, this is pages, and this is price. And same is the case with element at index 1, index 2, 3, and index 4 element, right? So this is an array. So array name is B, whose size is 5, and the type of the array is struct book. This means that the type of each individual element in that array is struct book. Let's go and see the program. Okay, so this is our structure definition. We have write that definition outside the main function. That is the most common practice. So within the main function we declare an array of that structure. So 3 elements की हमने array declare कर ली है, right? And then we have a variable I. So enter books record. We have a loop that execute 3 times. I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 2, I plus plus. So it executes 3 times, 0, 1, 2. And when the value of I become 3, this condition become false. So we have std in before. So std हमने before शुरू में इसलिए रख दिया ताकि ये इस बफर को फ्लश आउट कर दे, क्योंकि ये कैरेक्टर array है. So किसी भी जगह पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ जाए उसको अवॉइड करने के लिए we flush out std in each iteration, right? And then in this for loop, this also execute 3 times. We print the value which we have already entered over here in this loop. ठीक है? Let's compile this program, execute it, enter book record, book name. So let's see which function I have used in the source code for the input string. Is it getS? Okay, it's getS. Now I can write the name of the book with space. Let us see. Price is, let's say, 450.75, and pages is, let's say, 550. Book name is physics. Let's say book name is operating system. Let me check the size of the array. The size of the array is 10. Okay, now this is a big string for that. Let's say the book name is databases. The price is, let's say, 750.95. Pages are 1050. Now the book name is chemistry. Price is, let's say, 345.55. Number of pages are 450. Now display me all the things. Let us see is the name of the book. This is the price. Number of pages. Database is the name of book. This is price. This is pages. Chemistry is the name of the book. This is price and this is pages. Now you can write 0.2 over here so that it just display 2 decimal point value in the floating point case. Okay. Now this program is much easier. जो हमने पहले देखा था, हमने स्ट्रक्चर से प्रोग्राम देखा था कि हम 3 बुक्स के रिकॉर्ड को स्टोर करना है एंड वी डिक्लेयर 3 डिफरेंट वेरिएबल्स ऑफ दैट स्ट्रक्चर. इंस्टेड ऑफ डिक्लेयरिंग 3 वेरिएबल्स यू कैन डिक्लेयर एन array of structures. Now if you want to store the record for 300 books, you can write 300 over here, you can write 299 over here and 299 over here. It input the record for 300 books and it will display all those records. Now with the structure variables, you have to declare if you want to store the record for 300 books and you don't know what is a structure, array of structure, then you have to declare 300 variables of structure, and that is very difficult to handle. Now the same size of the program, but it can be used to input 300 books. Now some additional feature of structure. The value of structure variable can be assigned to another structure variable of the same type using assignment operator. आप assignment operator use कर सकते हैं किसी भी structure value को किसी भी value में assign करने के लिए. For example, in this example we have a structure struct employee. उसमें एक name आ रहा है, character array, age integer and salary float. So you have a variable E1, E2, E3 whose type is struct employee, and you initialize E1 with Fahad 30 and this is the salary. Now E1 dot age can be assigned to E2 dot age because यहाँ पर age और age दोनों की type integer है, that is no problem. String copy के through you can copy E1 dot name in E2 dot name. So this is copying one element at a time. आपने पहले name copy किया, फिर age copy की, फिर salary copy कर दी. You can copy the whole structure in another structure like this. But दोनों की इसमें type का same होना ज़रूरी है. Copying all elements at one go. For this, the type of E2 and E3 must be same. इन दोनों की type का same होना ज़रूरी है. But copying one element at a time में elements की type का same होना ज़रूरी है कि इसमें age और age दोनों की type का same होना ज़रूरी है. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक में age float में दी हुई है, एक में integer में दी हुई है. Right? So copying element one at a time में you have to match the type of the element of that structure, and copying all element at one go you have to make sure that the type of both the variables are same. That is E1 की type भी struct employee होनी चाहिए और E2 की E3 की type भी struct employee ही होनी चाहिए. Right? And one structure can be nested with the another structure. That is very important property of a structure. Now you have a structure struct address. It contains phone number, character array, city, character array and integer street number. And then you have a structure employee. It contains an employee name and a variable a of type struct address. Instead of making a large structure, you divide the structure into 2 parts. For example, you have an employee structure that contains employee name and the employee address. Instead of writing all these things inside here, you make a separate structure of the address and declare a variable inside here. Now this is still a structure definition. Memory will not be allocated here. Okay? So we have an employee structure and address structure. A variable of address structure is nested in employee structure. So if we declare a variable of employee, so struct employee type का variable आपने declare किया, इसका नाम है E, and you initialize E with name and then phone number and then city and then street number. So this 10 is the street number, this Lahore is a city, this is the phone number 531046 and this is the name of the employee. Now you can access the individual element of that structure as well. So ये तो आपने declare time पे इसको initialize कर दिया. If you don't initialize it at declare time, then you can do it string copy e dot name Fahad. Now e dot a dot street number. E dot when you write e dot, you can access name and you can access a as well. So you access a and then you put dot. अब a के अंदर आप phone, city और street number को access कर सकते हैं. So you can access street number and you assign it 15. So e dot a dot phone number. So e is this structure. So within e you have name and address structure. So let me draw this thing. So this is a structure. We say this is a structure E that contains name and a structure A. अब A के पास क्या क्या चीज़ें हैं? 3 things. और वो 3 चीज़ें कौन कौन सी हैं? फ़ोन नंबर है. So this is phone number, city and street number. Just the 4 part. Now E structure has 2 elements, name, this is name, and this is another structure that is A, that represents the address. And A में सबसे पहला आपके पास चीज़ है phone number, then city and then street number. So if you write E dot, you can access name, you can access A. So you access A, then you put dot, or because A is a structure. So A के किस element को value assign कर रहे हैं? Phone को value assign कर रहे हैं. What value will be assigned? 531,046. That will be written over here. And the name will be written over here, and then E dot A dot city, you write Rawalpindi over here. Okay, let's go to the program. Okay, this is structure number 1 and this is structure number 2. Okay, point to be noted that before writing this thing you must define what is struct address. Here you define first what is struct address, then you declare a variable of type struct address within the definition of EMP structure. Then in the main function you write these things, right? Here you can use a printf statement to print the value. Let's say we declare a variable, then we assign the value name Fahad, street number 15, phone is this one, city is Rawalpindi, and now we are going to print those values. The first value is name, that is %s. The second value is also array, string, and integer. So %s, and %d/n, and these values are E dot. Now I can access 2 things, that is name or another structure A. So I will access name, so name will be printed over here, and then E dot A dot, okay, city, phone number, street. So just forget about these things, city, phone number and street. So okay, second is phone number, comma, then E dot A dot city and comma E dot A dot street number and bracket close. So the last thing is also integer value. So let me first compile this program, okay, and run it. So it prints me Fahad, phone number, Rawalpindi, street number 15, right? So उसी तरतीब में लिखेगा जो तरतीब आप यहाँ पर उसको देंगे, जिस तरतीब में आप प्रिंट करना चाह रहे हैं. जिसको पहले प्रिंट करना चाह रहे हैं उसको पहले लिख देंगे, जिसको बाद में करना चाह रहे हैं उसको बाद में लिख देंगे. So this is how the memory is allocated for the nested structure, और उसको आप किस तरह से initialize करेंगे values को. And this is the end of our today's lecture. So in today's lecture we have seen a dry run of a program जिसमें we are allocating dynamic memory for an integer for a collection of integer, or we can say a dynamic array. We use a dynamic array, that is we allocate a memory for a group of integers. Then we have seen what is a structure, how the elements of the structure are accessed, and how we declare a structure, and we have seen a nested structure and array of structures. Thank you very much. In the next lecture we will see a pointer to a structure and how we can pass a structure to a function, and how we access the element using a pointer to a structure. Allah Hafiz.